This video is sponsored by Thermopro. More about them coming up shortly.
Hello, hi everyone. Welcome back to Woo Can Cook. My name is Wesley, and this is a show where we are slowly cooking our way through all of the food from my childhood. Today we're diving back into our series dedicated to reproducing foods from our 8-day trip traveling through Taipei, Taiwan, with a look at what I would call the single biggest piece of fried chicken that I think I have ever consumed in my entire life, which is the Taiwanese fried chicken from Hot Star. For those unfamiliar, Hot Star is a well-known food stall located amongst its many locations at the very front entrance of the Shilin night market in Taiwan. As with most stalls found in the Taiwan night markets, Hot Star is very well known for serving exactly one thing and only one thing, which is a giant piece of fried chicken done Taiwanese style with potato and tapioca starch, then seasoned with salt and white pepper. Now, right off the bat, I will acknowledge that this is certainly a little bit gimmicky. It does literally say large chicken steak on their signage, which is, accurate. And while I was admittedly apprehensive about this spot at first, I have to admit that the large shape and size of this giant piece of chicken actually had a relatively significant effect to the way that it tasted. Hot Star's chicken is created using a single piece of chicken breast that has been butterflied open before it has been breaded and fried. This not only yields a piece of chicken that is legitimately roughly the size of my entire face, but also creates a thinner piece of chicken that in turn yields a better and more crispy fry. This, along with our classic Taiwanese dry seasoning, makes for what I would consider to be one of my very favorite things that I ate at the Shilin night market, and that's saying quite a bit because, well, I ate a lot of things. Okay, so let's get into it. Okay, so kicking things off here first, we're starting off with a pair of chicken breasts, which I'm using my very sharpest knife to butterfly open. This particular slice has no downward force to it, so I've found that the butterfly requires a particularly sharp paring knife, although, also all of your knives should be sharp too. Next up, I'm setting my chicken breast aside for a moment while we assemble our marinade here. I did mine in a very large mixing bowl, but looking back, I think this may have actually worked better in a Ziploc bag, which I'll explain in a moment. This is 4 cloves of crushed and minced garlic here to start, followed by 1 inch or about 1 tablespoon of fine minced ginger going into my largest mixing bowl along with my chicken breasts. Then moving on to our liquid marinade elements, I'm kicking this off with 4 tablespoons or a quarter cup of soy sauce here to start, followed by a single tablespoon of Shaoxing wine and about a half teaspoon of white pepper. Now, at this point you may notice that because our chicken is still in its fully unchopped glory, I'm actually facing quite a bit of difficulty in getting the marinade to fully cover the chicken. I ended up adding about a quarter cup of water to assist in this, but for your own purposes, I might recommend doing this in a Ziploc bag where you can press the air out of the bag and get more even coverage with your marinade. Moving on to our dry seasoning next. Now, a classic Taiwanese fried chicken contains a very specific combination of dry spices, this iconically coming from a dish known as yan suji or salt and pepper popcorn chicken. I've seen a number of fun creative additions in this spice blend, but obviously the most important additions here are going to be, salt and white pepper, as the name implies. So, going in here first, this is a single teaspoon of white pepper and roughly 1 tablespoon or a large pinch of kosher salt, as promised. Then next, to amplify things up a bit, I'm also going to include a half teaspoon of Chinese 5-spice, a full teaspoon of chili powder, and a single tablespoon each of onion powder and garlic powder. Next up, moving on to our breading, I'm whisking up 2 eggs here with a tablespoon of water to loosen things up, followed by a 1/3 cup each of potato starch and tapioca starch for our dry breading. This is going to yield for us the light, craggly, crispy, and slightly chewy breading that we all know and love from Taiwanese fried chicken. I'm seasoning this all with a pinch of kosher salt, then mixing to combine. Finally, here's my marinated chicken, which I'm adding to my egg wash to coat, then followed by my dry batter, giving a good amount of pressure to make sure that our batter sticks nice and evenly to the chicken. Next up, over on the stove, I'm heating my fryer up to 350 degrees F. Those following along with this channel may likely recall the myriad of thermometers that I have now broken in our various deep frying adventures. This is because glass thermometers, while accurate, are wildly fragile, and digital thermometers often suffer the exact opposite issue, featuring durability without accuracy. In the last 5 years or so, I think I have either cracked, dropped, or melted at least 4 different thermometers, which is, yeah, a thing that's happened. The instant read thermometer that I'm using here today is the Lightning by Thermopro. The Thermopro, though it does feature a number of very cool and useful features that I'll get to in a moment, is a winner for me for 2 very fundamental reasons. The first is because it's super sturdy and durable. As you can see, I just shoved it into a 350 degree F fryer and it still works fine. But also, second and more importantly, it also has a calibration setting, so even if it isn't giving an accurate reading, which it is, I can recalibrate it whenever I need to, which is also very useful. The Thermopro Instant Read also has a couple more thoughtful design features that I found pretty helpful too. It has a handy lock function to it, which will lock the display reading in place for when you have the thermometer at an angle where you can't quite see the reading. It's also got a handy feature that rotates the display automatically so that you can use it upside down or sideways, and it even has a really hefty magnet to it, so you can stick it on the fridge and it won't fall off, which is, as it happens, how I broke my last 2 thermometers. Use the referral link in the description and save 15% on yours today, which, by the way, is literally cheaper than the garbage instant read thermometer that I bought at TJ Maxx. Okay, back to fried chicken. I'm doing a double fry to my chicken today, partly because of the higher moisture content from our egg wash, but also because it's how Hotstar makes their chicken. It's par fried, then put on a dry rack for you to order, then fried a second time when you order it. We're giving this 1 to 2 minutes in our first fry, just long enough to burn off some moisture, then adding to a dry rack to cool for 5 minutes, before reheating the fryer to 375 degrees F and frying for a second and final fry for about 5 minutes until golden brown. You'll notice I'm also being very careful to rotate the chicken a number of times over the course of the fry. This is because since we're frying literally an entire chicken breast right now, we want to make sure that it's not making contact with the bottom of the wok, which would cause it to develop burnt spots. Once our chicken comes out of the fryer and reads 160 degrees F internally, I'm immediately coating this with our dry seasoning, then we're ready to eat. Okay, so first off, let's acknowledge the obvious. As with many of the cuisines found in the Taiwan night markets, this piece of chicken is not a complicated concept. It's pretty much as simple as a piece of fried chicken can possibly get. But that said, I do think that there are a number of critical elements to the Hotstar fried chicken that is incredibly unique. The first, obviously, is the fact that our chicken breast has been butterflied open, yielding not only a thinner piece of chicken, but also somewhat unexpectedly, some nice crevices and creases in the chicken breasts for our batter to clump up and cling to, yielding some nice pockets of crunch in the chicken. To pair with this, there's also the somewhat unique combination of potato starch and tapioca starch that contributes to our unique final product too. Potato starch, in my opinion, has a fairly unique habit of clumping up in interesting ways, yielding these nice little nuggets of crispy batter, not unlike what you would find in a chicken karaage. Then the added tapioca starch gives us a softer and more tender bite too, yielding a sort of impossibly crunchy and chewy bite, all in the same piece of fried chicken.
Okay, so that's it everyone. I hope you enjoyed this and I hope you give this one a shot. For those who missed it, this video is part of a larger series dedicated to reproducing foods that I came across during our time traveling through Taiwan, so definitely check out that 2-part series next if you haven't yet too. For the Bay Area locals, come find the Wu Can Cook fried rice pop-up at the West Oakland Farmers Market every Sunday, literally in front of the food hall where we'll be opening our very first brick and mortar later this year. As always, like, comment, subscribe, share, be nice interneters, and I'll see you soon.